For 300 years, no royal guard had ever bowed while on duty, till that Thursday morning. Tourists pulled out their phones when they saw Japanese Ambassador Yamamoto Takeshi's deep bow. But the real shock came when Guard Sergeant James Mitchell dropped his rifle and returned the bow. At that moment, Buckingham Palace's protocol book was rewritten. So why did the guard break the 300-year-old tradition? Before we begin our story, please write in the comments where you are watching from. Japan, America, England, or Germany? Do you think a soldier should break protocol for humanity? We share new stories every day at the same time, so don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. In his modest apartment in London's Pimlico district, Corporal James Mitchell woke up at 5 a.m. His uniform was hanging in its usual place, but today it felt different. He had been serving as a royal guard for 6 years, and his body no longer needed an alarm. Military discipline was ingrained in his bones. He got out of bed and opened the window. The Thames River stretched out like a gray ribbon in the misty morning light. The streets were very quiet. This hour of the day in London was Mitchell's favorite time. 3 photographs hung on the wall of his bedroom. The first was a portrait of his grandfather, Thomas Mitchell, taken in 1946. The second was his own graduation photo, Sandhurst Royal Military Academy, 2012. The third was a photo he had never shown anyone, Afghanistan, Helmand Province, 2014. In the photo were Mitchell and his teammates. Only 3 of them had survived. Mitchell stepped into the shower. Cold water. Always cold water. For mental clarity, for concentration. He had learned this during SAS training. Comfort is the enemy's first weapon, his instructor had said. A soldier who grows accustomed to comfort loses the war. He stepped out of the shower and shaved. Every movement was mechanical, perfect. The razor danced across his face. He looked at himself in the mirror, 34 years old, 6 feet tall, 210 pounds. His face bore the scars of war, a scar on his left eyebrow from Syria, a slight misalignment of his jawbone from Afghanistan. But his his eyes were still sharp, still alert. He went to the kitchen. Breakfast was always the same. He ate while watching the news. A diplomatic delegation from Tokyo is in London. He saw the headline but didn't pay attention. Someone came to London every day. 6:15 a.m. time for the uniform. He returned to the bedroom, opened the wardrobe. There was only one uniform hanging inside. The others were being cleaned. A red tunic, navy pants, shiny black boots, every piece had to be kept in perfect condition. It wasn't just a rule. It was a matter of honor. First, he put on the white shirt. Then the navy trousers. He polished the boots. For 10 minutes. They had to be shiny enough to see his reflection in them. His grandfather had taught him this. Jamie, the shine of your boots is a reflection of your character. He put on the red tunic. A 200-year-old design, unchanged since the Battle of Waterloo. The heavy wool fabric was hellishly hot in summer and insufficient in winter. But you never complained. You never complained. He buttoned the buttons, 8 brass buttons, each one shining. He adjusted the epaulets. He fastened the belt. Finally, the bearskin hat. 18 inches tall, made from the fur of a Canadian black bear. Animal rights activists protested every year, but tradition was tradition. He took the hat out of its special box and brushed it. Every hair had to be in place. 7 a.m. time to leave the house. As he walked to the door, he looked at the framed photo on the table. His grandfather Thomas Mitchell was holding 5-year-old James in his arms. Summer 1995. Taken 2 months before Thomas's death. The old man had a weary smile on his face. Every day is a duty, Jamie, he had said that day. Some days are easy, some are hard. But every day is important. Mitchell touched the photo and left the house. As he walked to the subway station, he felt people's stares. His uniform always drew attention. Some wanted to take photos, but Mitchell didn't stop. He didn't stop on his way to duty. He boarded the train at Victoria Station. He stood out like a red stain among the morning commuters. A businessman sat next to him, then stood up when he saw the uniform. Mitchell didn't know if it was out of respect or fear. He didn't care. He looked out the train window. London was waking up. Shops were opening. People were rushing about. Normal life, the life Mitchell protected. Most people didn't notice, but danger could lurk around every corner, in every shadow. Mitchell's job was to keep that danger at bay. He got off at Westminster. A 10-minute walk to Buckingham Palace. Every step measured, every movement controlled. Military march, heel to toe, not heel to toe, are silent, steady, tireless. As they approached the palace, the number of tourists increased. Japanese, Americans, Chinese, Germans, everyone with cameras. Mitchell walked straight to the security checkpoint. ID, check, weapon check, routine. "Good morning, Sergeant Mitchell," said the security guard. "Good morning," Mitchell replied. He didn't talk much. Unnecessary conversation distracted him. He entered the guard change room. The other guards were getting ready. No one was talking. Everyone was going through their own rituals. Mitchell checked his weapon in, L85A2 rifle, not loaded, but ready. If there was a tourist attack, it could be loaded in 3 seconds. It was 8:45 a.m. briefing time. Captain Harrison entered. "Good morning, gentlemen. Today is a routine day. The weather is clear, and tourist traffic is expected to be moderate. No special guests." Mitchell listened, but his mind was elsewhere. Every Thursday, he stood guard at the same position, the East Gate, the same spot for 6 years. He knew every stone, every crack in that spot. Mitchell, Harrison said, "Be careful today. Intelligence reports that protest groups may arrive." "Understood, sir. Everyone to your positions." "The shift starts at 9 o'clock. Mitchell stood up, took his rifle, and walked to the door. As he walked down the corridor, his footsteps echoed. He went outside with the other guards. The morning sun blinded him for a moment. Then he got used to it. He walked to his position, the East Gate, his usual spot. He stopped, motionless. Rifle on his left shoulder, right hand on the butt, eyes forward, 1,000-yard stare. Not looking at anything, but seeing everything. 9 a.m. The shift began. The first tourist group arrived at 9:15. A.M. Chinese. The guide was speaking Mandarin. Mitchell didn't understand, but he could tell from the tone of voice that he was telling a story. Probably about the history of the palace. 9:30 a.m. An American couple. The woman wanted to take a photo. The man asked, "Does he really not move?" Mitchell didn't move. 9:45. A group of German tourists, mostly elderly. One of them, an old man, walked toward Mitchell. He stopped 2 meters away. He had a military posture. Perhaps a former soldier. The man muttered something in German, nodded his head, and walked away. Mitchell didn't respond, but he appreciated it. 10 o'clock. The weather started to warm up. His wool tunic began to sweat. Normal. He was used to it. In Afghanistan, it was 50 degrees Celsius. At 10:07 a.m., the elderly Japanese man appeared. Asterisk in Tokyo's Minato district. Early that same morning, Ambassador Takeshi Yamamoto looked out the window. After a sleepless night, the lights of Tokyo Tower were beginning to dim, and the city was waking up. Yamamoto, 73, had slightly trembling hands. He looked at the file open on his desk. Inside were photographs, letters, documents, everything he had collected over the past 6 months. Every piece of information he could find about James Mitchell. His wife Keiko entered the room quietly, holding green tea. In their 45 years of marriage, Keiko had learned to read her husband's every mood. What she saw in Takeshi's eyes that morning was determination. "You didn't sleep?" Keiko said. It was not a question, but a statement. "I couldn't sleep," Yamamoto replied. "My father's face wouldn't leave my mind." "Promise me, Takeshi," he said. "Find the Mitchell family. Thank them. It's been 5 years, Keiko. 5 years." Keiko touched her husband's shoulder. "Maybe they won't accept. Maybe they won't even speak to you. I'll try. I owe it to my father." Yamamoto stood up and walked to his closet. He had been thinking about what to wear since yesterday. A formal suit would be too cold. Casual clothes would be disrespectful. In the end, he chose his dark gray sutha, one he had worn to his father's funeral. He went into the bathroom and washed his face. He looked at himself in the mirror. He was 73 years old, his face bearing the marks of a 45-year diplomatic career. Washington, Paris, Berlin, Moscow, Beijing. He had served in every capital, representing Japan in every crisis. But no assignment had ever been this personal. When he returned to the living room, Keiko had prepared breakfast. A traditional Japanese breakfast: miso soup, rice, fish, pickles. But Yamamoto couldn't eat. His stomach was in knots. "Takeshi," Keiko said, "you don't have to do this." "No," said Yamamoto. "I have to. My father lived to be 86, Keiko. 86 years. Every day, he remembered Thomas Mitchell. Every night before he went to bed, he would say, 'Arigato, Mitchelson.' He saved him when he was a 3-year-old boy from under the rubble. 3 days later, asterisk." Yamamoto's eyes filled with tears. "Do you know about Hiroshima, Keiko? Do you really know? 80,000 people died in an instant. In an instant, my father miraculously survived. His mother had covered him with her body, died, but protected him. And Thomas Mitchell, a young British soldier, 22 years old, heard his voice under the rubble. He dug with his hands for hours. He lifted the stones one by one. He picked up the photo on the table. Here it is. It's Thomas Mitchell and my father. August 1945. Look at my father's face. He's 3 years old, but there's hope in his eyes, because someone saved him. Not an enemy soldier, but a human being." They were stuck in Tokyo's morning traffic on the way to the airport. Yamamoto looked out the window, rehearsing his speech in his mind. His English was perfect. He had earned a master's degree at Oxford in his youth. But finding the words was difficult. How do you express 79 years of gratitude? How do you explain the atomic bomb, the apocalypse, and the hope within it? When they arrived at Narita Airport, it was 8 a.m. check-in, security, passport control, routine. Yamamoto had done this hundreds of times, but this time was different. His hand trembled as he handed over his passport. As he boarded the plane, the flight attendant recognized him. "Yamamoto-sama, welcome aboard. You on a diplomatic visit to London?" "A private visit," said Yamamoto. "A very private one." He sat down in his business class seat, a 14-hour flight. Normally he would sleep or work. What? But today, he couldn't. He took the letters out of his pocket. His father's letter, written in shaky handwriting. "Dear James Mitchell, I don't know you, but I knew your grandfather. He saved me. I was 3 years old. My mother was dead. My father was dead. Everyone was dead. But Thomas Mitchell found me, saved me. He gave me hope. Thank you, Hiroshi Yamamoto." Simple words. But behind them lay an 86-year-old life. When Yamamoto's taxi pulled up in front of Buckingham Palace, it was 10:05 a.m. His hand trembled as he paid the driver. He took a deep breath. He had traveled 14,000 kilometers for this moment. He walked toward the east gate of the palace. Tourists were everywhere. Selfie sticks, cameras, laughter. No one noticed the old Japanese man. Why would they? Like an ordinary tourist, he saw him. Corporal James Mitchell. 2 meters tall, his red tunic gleaming in the sun, his bearskin hat at the perfect angle, motionless, completely motionless, like a statue. Yamamoto paused. He resembled the young Thomas Mitchell in the photograph. The same jawline, the same posture. 79 years and 2 generations separated them, but the blood connection was clear. American tourists were posing around him, honey. Stand next to him. Is he real? He's not even moving. A German guide was explaining to a group, DS Watchen, Sind, XO, LDATEN, ... These guards are real soldiers, ... Yamamoto approached. Each step was measured. He stopped 2 meters away. Mitchell's eyes were fixed ahead, 1,000-yard stare-seeing. Everything but looking at nothing. "Corporal Mitchell," said Yamamoto. His voice was calm, but storms were raging inside him. "My name is Yamamoto Takeshi. I am the Japanese ambassador. I traveled 14,000 kilometers to speak with you." The tourists stopped. Phones were raised. This was not normal. The old man. Was not speaking like a tourist. Mitchell didn't move. Not a single muscle twitched. His training, discipline, 6 years of experience, all of it had prepared him for this moment. Don't speak on duty. Don't react. Don't exist. But Mitchell's mind was racing. Yamamoto, that name. The call from the Department of Defense. Someone had asked for my records. From the Japanese embassy. Do you know your grandfather, Thomas Mitchell? Yamamoto asked. Mitchell's pupils dilated slightly. The one thing he couldn't control, his heartbeat quickened. My grandfather? What do you know about my grandfather, Thomas Mitchell? Yamamoto continued, his voice beginning to tremble. Was in Hiroshima in August 1945. He was a member of the British relief team. He was one of the first Allied soldiers to enter the city 3 weeks after the atomic bomb. The tourists fell silent. The American woman whispered to her husband, "Did he say Hiroshima?" An elderly man from the German tourist group stepped forward, listening intently. Perhaps he too remembered the war. Yamamoto pulled the envelope from his pocket. His hands were trembling now. Your grandfather. Yes. Your grandfather rescued a 3-year-old child from the rubble. Paused. The lump in his throat made it hard to speak. That child was my father. Silence. Complete. Silence. In the heart of London, at one of the world's most crowded tourist spots, no one spoke. Mitchell's breathing changed. From deep, controlled breaths to shallow, rapid ones. Impossible. This is impossible. My grandfather never mentioned it, but before he died, Jamie, I did something in Hiroshima. Something good. Maybe one day you'll find out. Yamamoto pulled out the photo. Here's the proof. Your grandfather Thomas Mitchell, holding my father Hiroshi Yamamoto. 1945, Hiroshima. Held up the photo. Sunlight hit the old yellowed paper. The image wasn't clear. 2 figures could be made out: a young British soldier and a small Japanese child. A young Japanese tourist girl excitedly started talking on the phone. Okasan. I'm a Shugoi Kotoga. Okotojiru. Mom, something incredible is happening right now. Mitchell couldn't look at the photograph. Protocol wouldn't allow it. But he could see it. He could see it out of the corner of his eye, and he recognized it. This photograph was in his grandfather's house. Frameless, tucked between the pages of a book. He had asked once what it was. Thomas had simply said, "Old days, Jamie. Old days, my father," said Yamamoto. His voice trembling told the story all his life. Every night before going to bed, he would pray for Thomas Mitchell. An elderly English woman took out her handkerchief. She whispered to her husband, "Oh, George, this is—" "You may not know Japanese," Yamamoto continued, but every night he would say, "Arigata, Mitchell-san, thank you." At Mitchell's hand trembled, just a millimeter, but Yamamoto saw it. A human being, not a statue, a human being. He was listening. My father died 5 years ago. He was 89. His last words. Yamamoto paused. Tears streamed down his cheeks. Without shame, without hiding, his last words were, "Please convey my gratitude to the Mitchell family." An American tourist was holding the phone, trembling, recording. He was live streaming on Instagram. "Guys, you won't believe what's happening at Buckingham Palace right now, ... Storm was raging inside Mitchell. Protocol says don't move, but humanity ... What would my grandfather say to this man? Jamie, sometimes rules shouldn't come before humanity. It took me 6 months to find you, Yamamoto continued. The British Ministry of Defense, population records, researchers. I finally found you. James Mitchell, grandson of Thomas Mitchell. A soldier like your grandfather. On duty like your grandfather. 2 palace security officers began to approach. They were assessing the situation. The old man was not a threat, but protocol. ... Double quotes, please, Yamamoto said, turning to the security officers. Just 1 more minute, Captain Harrison. The security chief hesitated. He recognized Yamamoto, the Japanese ambassador. He couldn't cause a diplomatic incident. 1 minute, Harrison said. Yamamoto turned back to Mitchell. He took out the second envelope. This letter is from my father to you. He wrote it before he died. He said, "If Mitchell's grandson is found, give it to him." Mitchell's eyes fell on the letter, then on Yamamoto, then forward again. He was at war. Duty and humanity were at war. "Your grandfather didn't just save my father's life," Yamamoto continued. "He gave him hope. He gave him humanity. He showed that even the enemy was human." The crowd was growing. Chinese tourists, German seniors, American youths, French students. All were watching. "And now," Yamamoto said, stepping back, "I would like to pay my respects to you and your grandfather's memory." He brought his heels together. He placed his hands at his sides, and he bowed. A deep, traditional Japanese bow. Ogigi. 90 degrees. The expression of the deepest respect. "Arigato gozaimashita, Mitchell-san." Thank you. Thank you to your grandfather. Thank you to your family. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. 15 seconds. Yamamoto was still bowing. For a 73-year-old man, this position was torture. But he didn't move. Something inside Mitchell broke. Protocol? Humanity? A 300-year-old tradition? A man's gratitude. Then he moved. First his head. He turned slightly toward Yamamoto. Then he transferred the rifle from his right hand to his left. He placed his right hand over his heart. A murmur rose from the crowd. "Oh my God, a hat sich bewegt. Illabouge," Mitchell spoke. "It's for the first time in 6 years. On duty, my grandfather, Thomas Mitchell, was a true hero, sir." Then he bowed. For the first time in history, a royal guard on duty bowed. It wasn't a full military salute. It wasn't a Japanese-style OGG either. It was a mix of both. Was the universal language of humanity. The crowd went wild. Cheers, tears, shouts. Phones were recording everything. The hashtag honor above protocol hashtag was born right there. When the two men stood up, they locked eyes. Mitchell's eyes were tearful. "My grandfather," Mitchell said, "never spoke of Hiroshima. Only before he died, he said, Jamie, the most important day of my life was the day I saved a child." Mitchell's phone in his Pimlico apartment hadn't stopped ringing since 6 a.m. 147 calls. 89 messages. Social media notifications had locked his phone. The video had been viewed 47 million times in 12 hours. Mitchell turned off the phone. He went to the kitchen and made coffee. His hands were trembling, slightly adrenaline withdrawal, feeling he recognized from Afghanistan, the emptiness that followed major events. His father's letter was on the table. He had read it last night. 3 times. "Dear James, I never knew your grandfather, but I owe my life to him. The day he saved me, he didn't just pull a child from the rubble. He gave me hope, gave me faith in humanity. I was 3 years old when the atomic bomb fell. My mother shielded me. She died, but she protected me. I was trapped under the rubble for 3 days. Thirsty, hungry, in the dark. I was waiting to die. Even a 3-year-old can sense death. Then I heard a voice. English. I didn't understand. But the tone of the voice, ... It was full of hope. Thomas Mitchell dug for hours. I later learned that his hands were bleeding. His nails were broken. But he didn't stop. When he pulled me out, the sun hit his face. I thought he was an angel. Maybe he was. He didn't leave my side for 3 days in the hospital. He gave me his own food, gave me his own water to drink. One night I had a fever, and he stayed by my side until morning. He kept saying, "It's okay, little one." I didn't understand English, but I understood when he left. He left a wooden soldier. He had carved it with his own hands. I kept that soldier for 86 years. Now it's with my son Takeshi. If you are reading this letter, my son has found you. He is a good man. He is my pride and joy. Be worthy of your grandfather. He was a hero. So, are you? There are no enemies in war, only frightened people. Your grandfather knew this. You should know it too. Sincerely, Hiroshi Yamamoto Mitchell folded the letter. He pressed it to his chest. Then he stood up and put on his uniform. The doorbell rang. Mitchell opened the door. Captain Harrison was standing there. "May I come?" In corporal, Mitchell stepped aside. Harrison entered and looked around. Simple, orderly, military discipline. "Coffee." Mitchell asked. Please. The two men sat down at the kitchen table. Silence. Then Harrison spoke. Word came from above. The incident reached His Majesty's ears. Micho's stomach knotted. He was going to lose his job. His 6-year career would be over, and he asked. Harrison smiled. For the first time, Mitchell saw his superior smile. His Majesty watched. The video, he watched it 3 times. He said sometimes protocol must give way to humanity. Corporal Mitchell did the right thing. Mitchell relaxed. Weight on his shoulders lifted, but Harrison said it won't happen. Again, I understand, sir, and ... His Majesty wants to see you today at 3 p.m. Mitchell's eyes widened. His Majesty wants to see me. Apparently, he has something he wants to tell you about your grandfather. Harrison stood up. Corporal ... what you did yesterday was against protocol. It was insubordination. You broke a 300-year-old tradition. Mitchell bowed his head. But, Harrison continued, it was also the bravest thing I've ever seen. Your grandfather would be proud. He walked to the door. Before leaving, he turned around. The media has gone crazy, by the way. Everyone wants you. The palace press office is in a frenzy. I won't speak, sir. I know. Yamamoto also refused to speak. Some stories, he said, are meant to be lived, not told. At 10 a.m. Mitchell's phone rang. It was an unknown number, he answered. Sergeant Mitchell, this is Yamamoto. Am I disturbing you? No, sir. Today I want to bring you my aunt. She is also a survivor of Hiroshima. Your grandfather treated her too. Mitchell paused. My shift ends at 2 p.m., sir. We'll wait. We'll be at the east gate of the palace. Understand, sir, and Sergeant. ... Thank you for what you did yesterday. I thank you, sir. You gave me my grandfather back. At 2 p.m., Mitchell's shift ended. Outside the east gate stood Yamamoto, with an elderly woman and a little girl. Corporal Mitchell, Yamamoto said, my Aunt Sakura Tanaka, and her granddaughter, Yuki. Sakura bowed. Mitchell returned. Thomas-san, she said in trembling English, was a good man. He gave me my first chocolate. Mitchell smiled. He always carried some. Yuki handed him a drawing, 2 men shaking hands, with the words, thank you. For my grandfather, for yours, she said. Mitchell knelt. It's wonderful, Yuki. I'll keep it. Sakura offered a box, origami crane. For peace. In Japan, said Yamamoto, 1,000 cranes grant a wish. This is the first. The family folded it together for Thomas Mitchell. For you. Mitchell's eyes filled. I don't know what to say. You don't need to, Yamamoto replied. Why, Yuki, I squeezed his hand, the grandfather said. If I meet Mitchell, I can die in peace. Now he can, Sakura cried. Yamamoto embraced. Her? We're emotional, he said. So am I, Mitchell answered. At 3 o'clock, Mitchell was escorted through long corridors to a private reception. The Queen awaited by the window. I knew your grandfather, she said. In 1947, he escorted my father in Japan. My father was impressed. She opened a file of photographs and letters. Your grandfather saved not 1 child but 17, treated 23 adults, shared his rations for weeks. He asked it remain secret. She revealed another page. He was nominated for the Victoria Cross, but the politics of the time prevented it. From a box she produced the medal. It's 79 years late. But his grandson, will you accept it? Mitchell's hands trembled. Your Majesty, this. It's a well-deserved honor, Corporal. Your grandfather was a hero, and so are you. Mitchell took the medal. Thank you, Your Majesty. You broke protocol yesterday. Yes, Your Majesty. It apologize. What you did was the same as your grandfather 79 years ago. You put humanity before protocol. The Queen smiled. And that's why we're creating a new rule, the Humanity Protocol. Once a year, the guards may show compassion. Teeth, your day. That night, Mitchell dined with the Yamamoto family and his own. Stories were shared. Tears, too. Yamamoto raised his glass. To Thomas Mitchell, the one who saved lives. To Thomas Mitchell, they echoed, Yuki, the ambassador's granddaughter. Whispered to James, One day I'll be a soldier too, to save people, to give hope. The most beautiful reason, Mitchell said. The press exploded the next morning. Humanity above protocol. From Hiroshima to London, a 79-year journey. Social media roared #Humanity Protocol past 100 million uses in Hiroshima. A new museum section opened. Thomas Mitchell and the Saved. In London, the Royal Guard's training added a lesson: when to bend the rules. Months later, Mitchell stood at Hiroshima's memorial, 50,000 people listening. My grandfather wasn't a hero, he said. He was simply human. And today, I stand in his name for humanity. The applause lasted minutes. He left carrying a wooden soldier carved by his grandfather, returned to him after 79 years. Now, every April 18th, the Yamamoto family visits. Yuki, older now, greets him. James-san, we're still folding cranes. We've reached 500. 500 more, Mitchell replies. For hope, a 300-year-old tradition was broken in one day. But something stronger took its place. The Humanity Protocol. What do you think? Did Mitchell do the right thing? Did you have broken protocol? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe for more stories where humanity prevails over rules.